Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of the Vertical Stars Podcast third season. My loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. This is an amazing episode because Charlotte Kirk boards mothership to discuss the Duchess. Now come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hi, Mrs. Kirk. Thank you for coming to the Vertical Stars Podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, you're all the way in California right now, and I'm in grey England.
Oh, how is it there right now?
Doesn't feel like summer, but it's okay. It's okay. When the sun comes out, we appreciate it.
Well, considering we're dying in the heat, I'm sure we would appreciate the weather of London right now.
True, true. You're in California, LA?
I'm actually in Rhode Island on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that's very hot.
It is right now. We're in our hottest month, so we have the humidity on top of the heat, so we're not loving it right now.
Well, right now it looks like you're in space anyway, so
Yeah, it's just a little nicer up here, a little quieter.
yeah.
So I always have a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for film, and who are your earliest influences?
My earlier influences would be the classics. I grew up on the classics, Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, On the Waterfront. Marlon Brando is one of my favorites. I grew up watching lots of movies, and when I was very young, when I started to act, it just felt like the first thing that I understood and I felt connected to, and I just loved. Growing up was quite difficult for me because I'm on the spectrum, so it was very difficult, and I'm dyslexic, so school academics was very difficult for me. So when I stepped into my first drama class, I was like, wow, what is this? Creativity, like I'd never experienced that before. So it was kind of a gradual thing, but I knew pretty early on.
Now, I have a long background as a teacher in special education. I'm actually a special education teacher right now, and you mentioned that you are on the spectrum. Now,
Mhm.
how does that impact how you work with? Because being an actor is kind of an extroverted career
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah.
How does that is connect to being on the spectrum and being also having to be a very extrovert in front of a stage and audience and things of that nature?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, some people on the spectrum are very introvert, some are outrovert. I think we don't really like socializing, but part of this job is obviously you're required to. So um, that's quite difficult. Social situations can be quite, I just really like just being on set and creating, and part of the business is a lot of other things, networking and connecting and all of that stuff. So it's a bit difficult, but I also think it's been an advantage for me, because when I was 19, someone said to me, Charlotte, if you want to be an actress, go to the States.
Hmm.
And I didn't think twice. A big part of, I think, of who I am is you don't really see consequences or fear for a lot of things. So, anyone else, any, teenager, 19-year-old, go halfway around the world, they might have thought twice. But for me, I was like, okay, yeah, if that's what I got to do, I'll do it. And I didn't think twice, and I had no fear, and I just went out there and I did it. So I definitely think me being on the spectrum is actually positive. I
Hmm.
really do.
Now, you for the film Duchess, you're a co-writer, executive producer, and star. So basically, you decided to do everything, as it were.
Yes.
So maybe my first question is, are you crazy? That must be so much to do.
I must be. Must I must be. I know. Well, yeah, so Duchess was my third feature film that I co-wrote, produced, and starred in.
Hmm.
Before that, I did The Reckoning and The Lair, two very different kind of genres. The Reckoning is a horror drama, and The Lair is a full-on action sci-fi. And then I sat down with my co-writer, director Neil Marshall, and was like, so what do you want to do next? And then we just started talking about gangster films. And, we're talking about how some of my favorite movies are Scarface and The Departed and Goodfellas. And we were like, wouldn't it be great to make a movie like that? But what about a female boss? What about a female Don? I've never seen that before. So that's kind of how Duchess was conceived. But again, before that, I'd done, but I think, to I do everything, as in, writing, producing, because I feel like it's almost out of necessity.
Hmm.
You know, good scripts are hard to come by. Good scripts with good female roles are even more hard to come by. So I feel like it's out of necessity that you have to, well, for me anyway, kind of create my own work.
Now, once again, having doing those three very different type of jobs for a film, which one do you find the most difficult to kind of envelop yourself in? Is it the acting part, the executive producer part, or the writing part?
No, acting is the easiest for me. I mean, I don't really like producing, or I mean, I like producing in the sense that I like to see something from the beginning, seeing a, something, an idea, and then see it, on the big screen. Like that's very rewarding, seeing it from start to finish. But probably the writing, coming up with a great story. The writing part is always difficult. To get a really good script is not easy. To come up with it, and it's very difficult. So I'd probably say the writing process.
Now, as you said, having been both the executive producer, the writer, and the star of The Lair and The Reckoning as well, as you said, you've had experience doing this in the past. What have you learned from doing it in the past that has really helped you now on The Duchess, and which one has the hardest learning curve for you?
They've all had their challenges, and every project is a different beast. I would say like Duchess was the biggest production yet. So if anything, I actually learned a lot from Duchess that I've taken on for my next projects. Probably learning before that though would be surrounding myself by good people, good crew, good producers that can run the show and operate a smooth train and smooth production. So that's what I would say that I learned previously. And Duchess was a very, very difficult shoot. I got COVID during filming. We had to close down for a few days. The director got COVID. Yeah, it was really, really, really tough. But we got through it. But every film is it's own beast. So it comes with its own sets of issues and dramas, and what do they say? Like any film getting made is a miracle. So yeah, but I'm excited because I'm very, very proud of this film, and the trailer is getting a great response, and I'm just hoping people are gonna, the people are gonna enjoy it as much as they're enjoying the trailer. So let's see.
Now, as an actor, working with other actors, it's supposed to be, it's a partnership, a give and take. Everyone wants to have their own expression in their character, but you are also the writer. So when you see another actor performing a role in a way that in your head you didn't see the character doing it, maybe, or in a way that's slightly off kilter from what you expected, is it makes it more difficult to not maybe either want to say something or maybe give it some advice? I know that's also something our actors tend not to do with each other.
When I'm on set, I forget that I'm the producer and the writer, and I don't think I I wouldn't want to make the cast feel uncomfortable. So I've never kind of said if they want to change something or whatever, I'm like, okay, if that's what you like, talk to the director.
Hmm.
Sometimes they come up with great ideas, sometimes they don't, but I always kind of really like to separate my roles when filming. I
Hmm.
think that's really important. If I walk around on set like the producer and the actor, that can get a little bit difficult. I don't want to create tension anywhere. So every actor comes up with some great things. I just finished filming with Dolph Lundgren and Michael J. White, and Dolph come up with some. I mean, he's directed before.
Hmm.
He come up with some amazing ideas, and it was just like, well, why do we do this? Why do we do that? It's like, okay, cool. Like when you're in the moment and you're in the scene and you're playing around with it, things happen. So I'm always expecting something to change because it always does.
Well, okay. Also, the great thing of being in actor and also the writer, acting also gives you, I would imagine, a different perspective on set on what's happening, how your a moment is feeling changed based on once again interact with the other actors, director, lighting, all this other stuff. Do you find that the perspective of being in the moment in the scene also impacts how you view maybe the right? Like, are there moments where you're like, hey, now that I'm in it, maybe I should be thinking this or say this instead of what I had written down because now it just organically feels different.
100%. And I've learned that very recently. Before I was the opposite, like, okay, this is a script, and we need to keep to the script, and that's that. Now I've realized actually, let's see what happens, because there's so many different components depending on the location, what we've just shot previously, how things have changed on set, so many different aspects. And I've learned that some of the best things happen spontaneously that aren't in the script, and you just go with it, and you trust your instincts and your gut. And that's what I've learned in the last project or so, that I'm kind of trusting myself to do that, not worrying about this is on the script. Yes, this is the blueprint, this is what we've got to go from, but if we've got some great ideas, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
And the other great thing about writing a character that you know you're going to play, especially as an actor, do you find yourself as a writer thinking, how do I want to push myself as an actor doing this? Or I always wanted to play this or that, and now I can make myself do that, or push myself in a way, or challenge myself in a way I've never done before? And how does that play out as when you're writing your character?
Well, in The Reckoning, like for example, The Reckoning, the first thing that came to mind was, we wanted to write a horror film about witchcraft, and writing it, I was, we were writing it and coming up with these great ideas. And once we finished the script, I was like, oh shit, now I need to learn how to horse ride, and now I had to learn how to sword fight. And, oh, I don't know. And I really put myself through the ringer on that one. There was a lot. Yeah, it was quite torturous, but worth it. But I guess Duchess was probably more like, oh, this would be really cool to do, especially the dialogue and her persona, because it's not horror. It's a very specific. It's more of a character piece, this one. So it was more like, oh, this would be really fun to play. Oh yeah, let's try this. So more so on Duchess than any of my other projects.
Now, the protagonist, and I may screw up the last name, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's Scarlet Monaghan?
Monahan, yes.
Monahan. I'm really bad with names, but I gave my shot. So when I'm playing Scarlet, now the challenge with Scarlet, I think both as a writer and the actor, is that she's, as you in this list also describe her as an anti-hero. She's in the diamond smuggling business, which is not a nice business. There's a lot of criminality and everything else enveloped in that. But at the same time, as a protagonist, you need the audience to follow her along, empathize her, and probably root for her. How hard of a tightrope is that to walk?
Well, the thing is, I think every gangster movie is very similar to this, right? So Scarface, he's the protagonist, he's an anti-hero as well. We knew, I think that going in as an audience member to a gangster movie. It's more challenging, I think, for a woman in this role, to be more likable in this world. But also what she does is justifiable. It's very justifiable. It's a revenge film, so she's not just doing it for the hell of it for money. She's doing it out of love, out of revenge. I don't want to give away anything, but it's justified what she does. It's not just doing it for no reason, and I think that's really important for any great film, like gangster movie. Scarface, not Scarface, sorry, The Godfather. That was about family. Duchess is not just a run-of-your-mill gangster movie. It's got layers to it. It's about power and love and betrayal, and that's what makes it interesting. And I think she's a really likable character, and you really feel for her. And this is another thing why we wanted to build the revenge, build the characters. Another big inspiration for this film was Man on Fire, Denzel Washington. The revenge doesn't come until halfway through. A lot of these revenge films today, it happens within 5 minutes. You don't care about the characters. It's just like, okay, whatever. But with Duchess, you do care, and you want her to get her revenge, So I'm hoping everything she does is explained, and you're behind her on that.
Well, like I said, just talking to you, I get the sense that everything that you did was extremely intentional. And interesting that you mentioned that the idea of most of these type of movies would be male-led. It's unusual to have a female-led character in this situation. And you said some things kind of interesting, and if I heard you correctly, you said some stuff a male character could get away with that maybe the female character in that situation couldn't. So when you're thinking about that, what were some of the things that maybe you thought, maybe I can't go quite that far over here because I'm going to lose the audience? Or were there some things that you thought yourself, screw it, I'm just going to go as far as
we lit the latter. We literally just said, screw it, we're going to do it. I mean, there was one scene that we put on we put in there, but then we took out where she was receiving oral sex under the table. I thought, we put it in, then we're like, yeah. I mean, we could see that happening with a guy, but girl, Duchess, we took it out. But the thing is, with the whole thing with Duchess was a lot of action films today are very vanilla. It's all very, this film, our whole expectations for this was all out. We want to be as outrageous and as crazy as possible because there's so many films out there and there's so much content. It's like a lot of audiences today are desensitized. You need to, whack them around the face and go, look at us. And they're like, wow, this is really cool. This is different. This is interesting and quirky. So, and I think we've done that. There's a few things in there that are not in the trailer. There's a few, you got the Colombian necktie and done by Stephanie Beacham, and some other outrageous things that I've never seen before. So I've gone off on a bit of a tangent now. I'm not quite sure what my point was, but there's a lot out there that I think we didn't care. We did not care if it's all we shouldn't do this because she's a woman. We just put it all out there.
Now, as you said, it's revenge based on love of the husband. If I'm is that the can't remember the name of the actor? Yeah. And but just as much as love can be a factor, ideas of wealth and power can also be extremely alluring over time. Do they be as she's gaining power and things are going on? Is there a draw to the wealth and power that she's also being to feel as well, as much as the one for revenge, or is she totally focused on what happened and how she wants to get revenge on those who did things to I assume it's the husband?
I personally think she was just so in love with him. It didn't really bother her about the money and the power. Before she met him, yes, she was just kind of getting by, she was a petty thief, but not because she wanted the power or the money. I just think just to get by, and she was stuck in a trap. But I think when she met Robert, she just fell head over heels for this guy, and she didn't care what he did. They just had this insane connection, and they fell in love. I don't think it was about the power or the glitz or the money or anything like that. That came afterwards when it ultimately became hers, and she didn't want it. She wanted her man, but she couldn't have him.
Now, assume he's also prior to her was the leader of a drug trade. So, what does she see in him that perhaps goes beyond what you would assume the stereotype of a drug smuggler, diamond smuggler would be, to make that connection that strong?
She actually finds out pretty early. Well, they have a crazy connection and chemistry. She doesn't know who he is and what he does. I mean, she says, "Now tell me who you really are and who tried to kill us." She's like, "Who are you?" And he explains it to her, and that excites her a little bit. She's like, "What? This is crazy," and that does excite her. But that wasn't what attracted her. They just had this unexplainable chemistry and energy between each other. And then I don't think she would care what he did. If he was a lawyer or a car salesman or whatever he was, she would have still been by his side. She's not that kind of character,
So another great thing is from the trailer that I got to watch, there's some definite, very impressive action sequences that are going to occur in this film. Now, a couple of questions on that. First, as someone who does my own writing for comic books of that nature, when you get to these action scenes, how explicit are you to how you want those scenes to play out? Or are you just kind of like, now an action scene occurs, or are you spelling it out for the director or actor, things of that nature?
Mainly I just leave all that to Neil, whoever's directing the film. It also really depends on the budget and of course the location. And sometimes the location changes, you write something, it's in the script, and then you get there and you think, well, this is different, we need to work around this. That's happened a few times. But overall, but then we got some great sets as well. There's like an incredible chase, and it's literally through an incredible car park. We got this incredible location because there was like hundreds of these cars, and I thought, well, this is cool. This looks like we've just brought them all in. This adds some production value. So that was great. And then you get other days on set where we had like 5 minutes to shoot this scene where I'd literally just pulled this guy's guts out, and it was like we had 5 minutes. So I literally ran as fast as I could to prosthetics, who were like, "Oh, we've got another hour," and I'm like, "No, just give me these fake sausages." And I legged it back to set and was like, "Right, just put it on him and just spray loads of blood," and it worked, because I thought, if we don't get those fake sausages, that's gonna look stupid. So it's always like, you just never know. One day you've got 5 minutes and you think, oh my God, what do they say? Hollywood in the morning and then Hollyoaks at night. It's like, everyone's chilled, you got hours, and then in the afternoon it's like, yeah, we've got 5 minutes to shoot this whole scene. It's mental. So it just depends. It depends. But we got some great locations with this, though. I think the locations are really, really cool.
How fun was it to do the action scene? That must have been fun to kick some ass.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was great. The stunts were awesome, and I had never really done boxing before this, so this is very different for me. It was quite challenging. There was one scene where I was in the boxing ring and I had to say a bunch of dialogue and learn all these boxing moves, and it was kind of like patting my head and rubbing my belly at the same time. It's kind of difficult for me to do that. That was a tough day. But apart from that, like standard action stuff, kicking, punching people, that's always fun.
Did you land some actual shots?
No, I was okay, thank God, because the people were like so cool, so like professional boxers, so I was okay. I think they dodged me just in time. They made me look good. They made me look like I knew what I was doing. The magic of movies.
And like you said, the director of the film is a great director, Neil Marshall. People know him from Dog Soldiers, Hellboy, a bunch of other stuff. He also was the co-writer. So what was he like working with on the film?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, he's such a calm, collected director. So he makes everyone feel very comfortable on set. He really lets you explore and kind of play first. And then, when he gives you a direction, he means it. But he's like, well, you do what you want to do, then let me see. So he really creates a really nice, chilled atmosphere on set, which I think is really important, because sets are chaotic enough as is. So it's nice to have someone who's kind of level-headed, guiding.
As the co-writer and the director, and you also being like the writer and the producer, how do you make sure that everyone gets the vision that they want in the film? Because a director's vision and a writer's vision and artist's actor's vision are always going to be somewhat different. But you have a team.
Yeah, I think it helped with this one that obviously the two writers were also the director and the star. So we had the same vision. So that helped a lot. But on other projects that I do, I know the director's got so many hats, like the overall vision of the film. And I try and, as an actor, really just try and focus on what do you want, try and really understand the director's vision. And when I know that, then I think I can do my job better. I think the more specific, as for me personally, the more specific directions I get as an actor, the better I can be. I know some direct actors don't like that, but for me personally, I like that, because then I think that just helps me perform better. But in a way, for Duchess in particular, it was great because obviously the star and the director were the writers. So we definitely have vision.
Now, was there a moment in the film where, as Scarlet, you just thought to yourself, "This is going to kick some ass"?
Yeah, it's great when you're having there's quite a few days. There's quite a few days where when we saw the tiger being shot, that was really, really cool. It's a tiger, so cool. Not being shot, meaning filmed.
Is it a real tiger on set?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
That must have been awesome.
That was so cool. That brought some Scarface to it. And then just seeing like Stephanie Beacham do a Colombian necktie, I thought, oh, this is fun. And some of the sets were awesome as well, like really beautiful sets. So Yeah, no, I could tell when we were filming this, like just the stuff we were getting, like we're getting some amazing scenes and shots in the can, and a lot of the things that I imagined in my mind, they were better. We got better sets, we got, you know, better actors, we got everything was just turned out better than I expected.
Oh, that is awesome. How soon into making Duchess are you thinking yourself Duchess 2 is a thing?
When we were writing the script, when we were
Yeah.
writing the script, yeah, this whole film is really about her rise to power. So at the end of the film, it's kind of like she's hit the top, and it's kind of like chapter one.
Are we thinking trilogy then?
It certainly could be.
Oh, that is awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I wanted to call it Duchess Part One, and Neil was like, "No, don't predict anything. Be humble, be chill." And I was like, "Oh, fine." It worked for The Godfather.
that's been a ballsy ass title though.
Yeah, that would have been cool, right? But it's still a great title, Duchess. So
I
yeah.
think so too. So when can our listeners catch the Duchess and where?
So it comes out on the 9th of August. Everywhere digital, VOD, Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, all the usual suspects. And then it's opening globally in theaters. Just the US, it's going to digital and VOD. But I'm very excited. Oh, and if I was going to say, if you happen to be in LA, you could have come to the premiere, which is on the 6th of August. Next time.
Next time. I have to just get a plane ticket ready for LA every so often to try to get it.
Yes. Exactly.
Mrs. Kirk, it was an absolute honor to speak with you about the Duchess. Please come back. I do want to talk about Juice when we get closer to that film releasing. So please come back.
I would love to. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Verdant Stars podcast. Please help me battle the algorithms by liking and subscribing. Please return for the next episode when Frederick Wiedemann returns to the mothership to discuss Batman Cape Crusader on Prime. To next voyage, travel on.